Hi there, I'm Kate Holmes, host of Put Down the Mascara, a podcast that talks about being authentic and living your true self, and really cutting through the bull, sheesh. Today, we're talking divorce, the D word, and really what we want to talk about is putting the kids first and how important they are in this process. I'm here with Nicole from Restore Your Peace. Nicole is a divorce coach and a wealth of information, and so many people are going to be saying, I needed to hear this today. So Nicole, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am a high conflict divorce coach. So there is a difference between a divorce coach and a high conflict divorce coach. Things are done a little bit differently in high conflict separations. So I'm a single mom, 3 kids, and I also went through a very difficult divorce. So that, coupled with my profession, I try to help whomever I can if they need some support in this area, because it's difficult and it's emotional.
You have all the boxes checked. So you're living this in your work life. You're seeing all sorts of different scenarios, and you have lived experience as well. And here on this podcast, we feel really strongly about lived experience, because somebody can take a tidbit from you, from your life and your experience, and be able to build on that, massage a little bit and make it their own. Mm-hmm. And that really is the difference as you're going through divorce, is really how do you make it fit to your scenario. What is the difference between a divorce and a high conflict divorce?
So divorce is emotional, right? It can get difficult during the process, but usually once things are settled, it simmers down a little bit, and the parents can kind of put aside their disagreements or past experiences to be there for the children, to collaborate, to problem solve together. Not to say that it will still be an easy road, but you can work together, you can be amicable. High conflict, it just keeps going and going.
And going.
Yeah.
And going.
Yeah. And a lot of times in a divorce, there can be 2 people that are high conflict, but I think it's important for people to know that it only takes one person to be high conflict for it to be a high conflict divorce. And sometimes with the high conflict person, what's best for the children gets lost.
It absolutely does. And I also firmly believe that divorce isn't a life sentence. Mm-hmm. And so how do you work with that high conflict person? And one of the things that I hear quite often in high conflict situations is close. Mm-hmm. Close, going back and forth, or staying at one house, and that high conflict partner, ex-partner, is asking for things back. And what do you recommend to clients about clothing and that contention that is often caused by things going back and forth?
Yeah, it's a hard situation.
Very.
And I don't think there's a one answer for everyone. I think it depends on what the time sharing is, the parenting time. If it's 50-50, it might be more likely that there are more clothes, even distribution of clothes at each place.
Yeah.
I like to tell my clients, like, let's look at the big picture. Like, how important is this? I think that, you need to think about what it's like for the children, and different ages too, right? So I can understand if there's a special occasion happening and maybe they're going to the other house in a dress that was at a party that they went to or a celebration. You can return that back because it was bought for a certain occasion. But generally, I think the children should be able to choose what they want to wear if they're at that age, as long as it's appropriate. And it's difficult for, I think, children to have to be worrying about what clothes is at dad's, what clothes is at mom's. It's stressful. And is it really, you choose your battles. Is it really something that you want your child to have to endeavor and think about?
And maybe it comes down to, well, just go buy another t-shirt then. Mm-hmm. And keep that piece.
Yeah.
by just having multiple clothes. And if that clothes happens to stay at mom's or happens to stay at dad's, look at the big picture. And at the end of the day, does it really even matter? As long as the kids have what they need to wear and are comfortable in their clothes, does that matter? And I think often in high conflict situations, are you seeing that people get stuck on some?
They do, yeah. A lot of it well, I buy more expensive clothes and I don't want to send the expensive clothes back to the other parent's home, and they send clothes that are too small. So there's some of that happens. Sometimes we'll see children are asked to change right before they go back to the other parent's house. They'll send them in the clothes that they came at the beginning of the parenting time. And I question that too, because I just wonder what kind of message that sends to children when they have to change their clothes based on the preference of the parent and who has better clothes, who doesn't have better clothes, and it makes them a little self-conscious too, I think, sometimes.
It does. So really, I think what I'm hearing is let the kids lead.
Yeah.
Let the kids decide what clothes go where, what comes back and forth. And if they're of an age, would you make them responsible for bringing the stuff back and forth?
Again, I think it depends on the parenting time, right? So if the children already have a set of clothes, a typical, 7, 8, 9-year-old, they can pick out their own clothes, what they want to wear that day. And you can put boundaries around it, like, this is something we bought special for this occasion. So if you wear it there, let's remember to bring it back. They can have some responsibility with that. But overall, I think, just don't get sucked into it either. So again, know how you want to come across and what you think is best for your children. And sometimes you have to kind of turn a little bit of a blind eye to the nonsense.
And I think sometimes through the process, you both need to check yourselves and realize what's important. And at the end of the day, it is the kids, because you want to hold yourself in a manner that's true to yourself, and you want to make sure that your kids are feeling that as well. And if it's a simple thing as clothes, then let it be.
Yeah.
Don't cause that to be stressed, because there's lots of other crazy things going on in the world today, and potentially in your divorce, that clothes really, at the end of the day, how important are they? And you have to ask yourself, they might be for some people.
Yeah.
But is how important it is to you.
Yeah. And I think it's okay to follow your child's lead. And again, it's going to be different with different ages, and developmental stages. But there's only so many places you can shop for kids' clothes, right? So
it's true.
What's Walmart or Carter's, is there really a huge difference with that? So I think it's, trying to go back to how do you think this is making the child feel? And then there's going to be at a certain age where you can't really tell them to change their clothes.
They're coming back in their pajamas when they're 13.
Yeah. So they're at what age then do you stop that? So I think it's, it can be a bit of a slippery slope, and you want to be careful kind of what message are you sending to the kids when you are making them change.
So many things to think about as you are co-parenting and building that co-parenting plan together. And it also means to leave space to potentially evolve too. And these are things that you need to think about when you're working with a divorce coach. Is they might be 5 now and this is happening now, but what does that potentially look like when they're 15? And clothes, certainly there's a wide span between 5 and 15 and how kids feel about their clothes.
Yeah.
And so it's very important to think through all of these things as you are working with a divorce coach. It's not just the here and now, it's the future of what that parenting plan looks like as well.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people might miss that step. They're going to get older, things are going to change. I know I did. There were a couple things in my order, in my parenting plan, that we didn't think ahead for. And then it just means you have to go back to the table, kind of renegotiate things again, which can be difficult and stressful if it's a high conflict situation.
Right. And hopefully people are able to work that out with having not having to go back and to the table and be in courts and be with lawyers again. But in a high conflict situation, most of the times you are. So the more things that you can think about, the better. And clothes is just a small piece of that puzzle. Very small piece of that puzzle. And so we'll direct people to your website to have a look at more tips and more information. And I do think this is such valuable information. So thank you so much for sharing with us today. I've noticed that you've brought your mug.
Yes.
So let me just tell you a little bit about Radiate Positivity is the mug that I have chosen. Yeah. And I just think what you put out into the world, you get back. So if we could all just radiate positivity, I think the world would be a better place.
For sure.
And what have you got on your mug?
So I have I'd rather be in bed.
Are you not a morning person?
I am not a morning person.
I hear you, sister.
Yeah. I am a night owl. I love staying up late. But this, for me, it's a bit of a reminder, because I think everyone needs to have that place where they can feel relaxed, where their go-to, like when they're stressed, when they need to get away from things. And mine is my bed. So that's the place where I'm relaxed. I have a TV there or book I can read. It's physically comfortable. And then also, because I like my sleep and I like my naps, for me, it's a way that I re-energize and rejuvenate myself. So sleeping is very important to me, even though I stay up late. But you
like your morning sleep in?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. So
it's been amazing hearing about everybody's mugs and how special that is. And each story is really unique. And I'm not a morning person either, so I hear you on that one. So again, thank you for being with us today. It's been very informative. And that's today's episode of Put Down the Mascara. Before we sign off, I want to drop a friendly reminder your way. While we do our best to bring you helpful insights, stories, and perspectives on this podcast, I want to make it clear that we're not here to replace counselors, advisors, and experts. Remember, education and empowerment are journeys we embark on together, and seeking guidance from experts along the way is great for your personal growth. Thanks again for tuning in to Put Down the Mascara. We can't wait to have you back next time. Your feedback, stories, and suggestions keep us going and fuel our passion for empowering women everywhere.